Title: Waves of Change. In the year 2050, the world had drastically changed. Climate change, once a looming threat, had now manifested into a harsh reality. Rising sea levels and extreme weather events had become the norm, rendering many coastal areas uninhabitable. Among the countless families affected, the Johnsons, a once content family living in a small seaside town, found themselves at the mercy of nature's wrath. The Johnsons, consisting of Mark, Sarah, and their 2 children, Emma and Jake, had built their lives around the charming coastal community. Mark was a fisherman, and the family's livelihood depended on the bounties of the sea. However, as the sea levels continued to rise and storms grew more ferocious, their quaint town transformed into a battleground against nature. One fateful day, as a monstrous storm approached, the government issued a mandatory evacuation order for the entire coastal region. Reluctantly, the Johnsons gathered what little they could salvage and joined the desperate exodus of their community. The journey to safety was fraught with peril, and they faced the bitter truth that their home, the place where their roots ran deep, was lost forever to the rising tides. The family found themselves in a crowded refugee camp, a makeshift settlement for those displaced by climate-related disasters. Conditions were harsh, resources scarce, and tensions ran high among the displaced families. The Johnsons struggled to adapt to their new reality, grappling with the loss of their home, their possessions, and the life they once knew. Over time, the global refugee crisis escalated as more and more communities succumbed to the changing climate. Governments and societies were ill-prepared to handle the mass displacement, leading to conflicts over resources, territory, and jobs. The once united nations now faced the challenge of dealing with a new breed of refugees, climate refugees. Desperation and a desire for stability led the Johnsons to seek a fresh start in a climate-resilient city that had become a melting pot of displaced families. As they settled into their new life, however, they encountered resistance from the existing community. Jobs were scarce, and resentment towards the newcomers grew. The Johnsons faced discrimination and isolation, a painful reminder that the world had changed not only physically but also socially. In the midst of their struggles, the family found strength in each other. Mark, determined to provide for his family, adapted his fishing skills to new waters. Sarah became involved in community-building initiatives, attempting to bridge the gap between the displaced and the established residents. Emma and Jake, resilient and hopeful, befriended local children, breaking down barriers with the innocence of youth. As the years passed, the global community began to recognize the magnitude of the climate refugee crisis. International efforts were mobilized to address the root causes of climate change and provide assistance to those displaced. Slowly, the Johnsons' adopted city started to embrace its diverse population, realizing that unity was essential for survival in the face of an uncertain future. Waves of Change is a story of resilience, adaptation, and the indomitable human spirit in the face of environmental challenges. It serves as a cautionary tale, urging society to take action to mitigate the impacts of climate change and fostering empathy for those whose lives are upended by its consequences.